You know, one of these days I'm going to put this on the back burner and just let my mind sort of ease and, you know, think about things before jumping into the next. Yesterday, obviously, we didn't see a light off, and that smoke that you saw was not fuel or ignition. That came from the starter. During the starting cycle attempts, or not even starting attempts, but cycling and motoring the engine to get purge the fuel lines, get all the air out, we did a little too much, and I didn't pay close enough attention to the duty cycle. Duty cycle is how often it can run in a certain period of time. So if you did one start cycle, it's got to rest for say a minute, as an example. If you do 5 starts with a minute rest, then you have to wait a half an hour. And I didn't pay attention to that, and that smoke was from one of the windings. I think it was a shunt winding. It does turn, but it doesn't start, and it's slow and then ramp up. It ramps up. So anyways, it still kind of works. I was talking to somebody about troubleshooting, figuring out what's up, and they suggested, well, what about fuel, contaminated fuel? Okay, so we got fuel, we got a torch, it works. There's absolutely nothing wrong with fuel. So now what I'm doing is, this is the starting manifold for the engine. So starting fuel comes into here, we've got our gauges still, and I'm going to orient all the atomizers, and they're the exact same position as they would be on the aircraft. So we have number 1 up here, this one, and this one. I guess what are these, the 10 and 2 position? They are the starting atomizers that are right adjacent to the igniters. So I'm going to orient them in a way. We'll do it out back. I don't feel like getting jet fuel everywhere in the shop here. We'll send it out back, out the door. I've got a box fan to help simulate compressor airflow, and we'll record the pattern, see what's up, and if I'm feeling brave enough, maybe we'll stick the torch to it and see if it works. Because we've got pressure, we've got 40 psi, we've got lots of fuel, we know that, it's pouring out the back of this thing. Why is it not atomizing? Air in the lines? Maybe, but right from when I first got this thing, I never purged the lines, I never vented the fuel system, I never got all the air out, and it worked itself out and did well. The engine's had plenty of leaks. It's also like 40 km/h winds outside, so if you hear the whistling, that's what that is. Yeah, air in the system. So I've never had an issue with that. There's been plenty of leaks, more leaks earlier in the year, and it would still run no problem. I don't think that air is a problem. You can get the odd whatever, but everything's under pressure. The tank is under pressure, and it sends pressurized fuel all the way. There's no leaks in the line. Atmospheric air is not going to enter a pressurized system. It's the other way around. High pressure seeks low pressure. That's kind of almost the principle of lift in an aircraft. But I'm running out of ideas. I've got some pretty smart people trying to help me out here with the limited information that they know, because again, this is a very unique engine. They're all the same, but they're all very different. So anyways, I'm going to set this up in a way to hopefully not cover myself in jet fuel, because I'm getting tired of smelling it, to be honest, on my clothes. And I've got a line here. This line is hooked up in the line, it tees off, it goes to the engine, so we don't have to run the engine or anything like that, or the APU. This will connect to here. I'll set the pressure to whatever I want on the tank, and I got a little ball valve right here where I'll purge this line, because it's a long air line, 300 psi should be good. And it's good enough size just for starting. It's not big enough to run the engine, but it's good enough to get full atomizer spray. And I can go on and off right here. So I'll put this together and we'll see what it looks like. All right, in case you're wondering, This is not an official turbojet atomizer test cell or test rig. I'm not sure how well you'll be able to see it. I'm gonna try to get a light behind here. It's snow. It's a sucky background. I'm sorry. We've got, this is the bottom one. I don't expect to see much out of here. This one and this one are the ones that we're really not concerned with but want to pay attention to, because those are the ones where the igniters are right beside them. So let's see, turn the fan on. I got about 20 psi at the tank. So let's see what happens. Those are terrible. Well, actually, no, they're not that bad. Really. That one's not very good. The bottom one's not doing much. This fan is terrible. Okay, I got a floor dryer going in there. We'll see what we can see. I'm not gonna light it. I was gonna light them and see how they lit, but with the pool of jet fuel, nah, I'm gonna have them. That's about what we were seeing pressure-wise. It's really hard to see. Hold on. Back in the shop, new plan, new idea. So what we have been figuring out here. So you remember in the videos, the last ones of it running, there's a pile. You can even still see how wet it is in there. A pile of fuel's coming out, not igniting. I had this igniter out with a torch in it, lit it. I could see through that whole fire, but it wasn't propagating, so it wasn't going around the annular combustor. And you couldn't see any flame coming out the back. And the temperature barely rose. Like, we should be seeing temperatures of 700 degrees Celsius on startup at the max, and we were getting 150. So I have a new theory. We're overfueling. Sort of. So the last two times that I had a successful light off, I was dinking around. I opened up this. This is the valve. Pressure, fuel comes out of the body here, hard to see, into this valve. It goes to the bottom first. The bottom is your starting fuel manifold. I'll show you a diagram here in a sec. Once a certain pressure is achieved, a spring compresses, piston comes up, and puts fuel into the main running line. The main manifold comes to here. It'd be nice if I could get you on the computer. I haven't got that far yet in my YouTube schooling, but this is a fuel flow diagram. It's basic, but it's also very, very detailed as far as what the components are, and all these numbers correspond with a separate sheet that shows what they are. So basically, fuel comes in here, this filter, fuel in, goes through the filter, comes out here, goes in the axial piston pump. It's a variable displacement. It's got a cam. Well, it's not a cam, it's a swash plate. That moves and that varies the flow, depending on what it's calling for. Remember, flow, this will determine how much flow it needs, how much fuel, gallons per hour or whatever. The nozzles and the system restriction determine the pressure. So basically, it goes from the fuel pump into this unit here. Into the bottom, there's a little screen in here. It goes through the fuel control. This is where you have your throttle and your fuel shut off here. This is that little shuttle that I pulled out and cleaned. I think it came out this way, actually. Anyways, And then from here, it comes out into this guy here, the air-fuel ratio. I was able to, use compressed air to see what's happening. I did pull this apart. Everything looks good. I mean, a little bit dirty, but it looks good. These are, in actuality, reversed. So we showed you on the actual engine, the starting manifold was on the bottom. Well, in this case, it's the top. So basically, fuel's coming through here under pressure. Follow it all the way along through our starting manifold, or shut-off valve, to our starting manifold and into our atomizer. Once a sufficient amount of pressure is built, and I think using shop air is about 100 pounds, this spring will compress and fuel will come down and out here. Follow that all the way to the fuel pipe manifold. This is the fuel nozzle. I think there's open tubes, so fuel dribbles down or goes in with very little pressure, and they go into what's called walking stick tubes, J-style tubes, and we can look at a boroscope. Maybe I'll be able to do that. Get a picture of a boroscope up here of what they look like. There you go. Look at that. So basically, they drip fuel in, and the heat from the starting atomizers already going will vaporize that fuel, and then it ignites the vapor, which is like a gaseous sort of fuel, instead of using pressure. So my theory is that this piece here isn't sealing correctly, or for whatever reason, and fuel's leaking past here, basically going through here, and because there's not a sufficient amount of heat and fire, it's not igniting that, and it's just fizzling away. It's too rich, too much unatomized fuel, and jet fuel is like diesel. You can throw a match into a pool of it and nothing's going to happen, but as soon as you atomize it, as soon as you make it a fine mist, it's game over. It's fire for days. We'll take one of these out. I'm going to put some air pressure to it and see if my theory is correct. And then, yeah, I think hopefully tomorrow, it's supposed to rain, but if the weather's decent, we'll put the back of the car out of the shop again and do a run up. Okay, so we're just taking one out. That's it. I just want to see exactly how these operate. It's amazing how comfortable you get with stuff. Either the more you do it or the less you have to lose. The first time I took those fuel control units apart, I'm also just realizing that my mouth is about 6 inches from this microphone. Hopefully it's not awful. Oh, and the reason the audio was so terrible last time is because I had a cover on this that came with it, and the clip covers the microphone. Not the most ideal design in my opinion, but that's okay. So we're taking all the safety wire off. All aircraft parts have lock wire, safety wire, so that they don't accidentally loosen up during flight. That would be a problem. You can't just pull over if you have a problem. But because I don't have the patience and we don't need it, we're not putting lock wire back on. This is a thing where we can sort of assess as we go, check tightness, any leaks develop, we can see it right away. Okay, let's get this off. I don't know if these have ever been off. I shouldn't say ever. I wonder when the last time they've been off is. Place your bets. Do you think in this video we'll get it to actually run? Excuse me. I was wondering if there'd be fuel in there, but it makes sense that there's not. Whoa. So there is a screen on here. It's kind of bulged out.
Set these somewhere where I'm going to lose them. I need a special wrench for this. I had to grind that down just to fit. Barely. Okay. There you go. Look at that. Well, that came out nice and easy. I'm not going to touch this gasket because I want to reuse it. I might take that junk out. It's just dripping out. I'm going to get my good nozzle. It doesn't have a rubber tip, but given where these are, it might work better. So stand by. Maybe I'll do that again, put some WD-40 in, and then put the nozzle in. We'll do one at a time. Just to see what it looks like. I have no idea. Oh yeah, it just drips out. There's no mist, there's no spray, there's no nothing. Do the back one. The bottom one, I mean. Absolutely no chance of atomization. Okay, so that's... They don't work by that principle under pressure. So that's kind of what my theory was. Should clean that. A while ago I got a different... borescope, and it had about 4 miles of cord or cable to it. I have no idea why. What a pain it was to work with and move and whatever. So I got this thing. It's got about a 4-foot cord on it, which is plenty, and it's got a little it's a little worm, just not even electronic, it's just a little cable hooked up. So let's see what we can see, which way is which. Whee! Where do we put a nozzle? So those guys there, the tips, they correspond to these guys, those holes. So the fuel drips into there. If we go the other way, that's really cool actually. I've never looked down here. These are the guide vanes. I think this is the last set of guide vanes for the compressor. Yeah, and then it's going through a diverging duct, so it's opening up. Fuel goes into here. Can we get in there? Oh, there's one of them. There's another fuel nozzle. Oh, so they're actually separated. Cool, I didn't know that. So separated. So air comes in here, and they're ignited on the other side of this wall. So fuel comes in. Air's coming through here and going up and around. That's really cool. Look at that. That's our nozzle sitting like this. Okay. Now, give me a second to take this igniter out because it looks way different in there. I'll show you. We're going on a bit of a tangent here. I love it. Okay. This is a whole new world in here. Let me see if I can do something about this glare. No matter what I do. Next time I'll be more prepared and I can put an SD card in here and you don't have to see any reflection of myself or yourself. So this is the inside of the combustor liner. And back in the abyss, this is where all the fire happens. Oh, right above. These are the walking sticks. And that right there is a giant mound of carbon. Ugh. I gotta figure out how to clean that. I'm just trying to turn it here. There's another. So those nozzles that we saw, these are the two that come in this way. They hook around and it's like a J shape. So the heat from the fire that's going around here, because remember, we're in the igniter hole. And right beside the igniter is a starting atomizer. So fire's happening right in this area. Fuel comes dripping into these tubes. The heat from all that fire creates a vapor. You'll see sometimes when the engine's running a little bit of steam, smoke looking stuff coming up off of it. That's actually leaking fuel, and the heat turns into a vapor. So the fuel comes into here, it gets hot, and vapor comes out of here, ignites with this ring of fire, and just blasts it. And I'm thinking this mound and all this carbon buildup is because of all of the failed starts and short run time. So we'll see what we see. There's another there's a J right there. It's a perfect. Here's my silly face. Yeah, let me put an SD card in next time, and we can have a better exploration. But I thought, well, since I had this out, this would be a cool little demonstration. Remember, I got this thing out of a wrecked airplane. It crashed 15 years prior to me running it for the first time. Didn't go through a single bleeding process, and it worked no problem. So I don't think that bleeding is the answer. Maybe I should start it. Oh, I was also told I should be oiling this thing pre-running. So I'm going to have to look that up and figure out how to do that so we don't cook bearings, because then it's a big paperweight, and I don't want to do that. Well, unless I think of anything else, next time I see you guys, we'll be back to the garage, similar to before. Hopefully it's not a snowstorm, and hopefully we get some fire. Oh my goodness. Okay, see you then, whenever that is. Okay, we're back. It's been a couple of weeks. The holidays are pretty much over. We were unsuccessful in our last startup, as you saw, all the smoke coming out of it and everything. But we have some parts. Some parts have shown up from Poland. They got to the country about a week ago, but then customs held them up. But now we have them. So let's open the box and see what we have. As usual, junk everywhere. I've already opened the package that was so kindly opened by customs. And anyways, I was going to do a zoom in on here, but I didn't want to show the sender's address, but it's all the way from Poland. When you think about delivery of things halfway across the world, we're in Canada here, halfway across the world, and it costs like $60 to get it shipped over here, which is amazing. So, I have already opened this, just because I'm too excited and I couldn't wait to get the camera gear out. So we have some things. I should have gotten a different tripod to get you closer, but you get the idea. Atomizers. We have atomizers. These two are the two that go right beside the igniters. And these four are the other four. You can tell, I mean, don't have to keep them separate. I'm not sure how well we'll be able to see here, but if you look at, I have a little thing here. I'm not sure how well you can see, but these have a rounded edge, and these are more square. The rounded ones are called the Group B, and they're the ones that go right adjacent to the igniters, and then these fill in the other slots. And these look, although they do look kind of worn, I believe it's probably 40-year-old old stock, but the tips on here look brand new. They look amazing. I'm so happy. I cannot wait to get these in. The The seller sent a couple new washers, well, one on each. The problem is I need two on each because you've got like a banjo style fitting that goes on here. So we'll just probably reuse or install new copper crush washers that aren't exactly to spec, but they'll work. Again, these are only on for 20 seconds max. I think it's actually 17 seconds. So if it's going to leak, it's not going to be for long. So what I want to do is we've got the car up behind me. Let's bring it down and we'll swap these out. Alrighty, so here's the bottom injector, atomizer, sorry, injector, I don't know why I called it that. So these would be the main running ones once the thing gets rolling here. So this is the one that's never been good. It was completely plugged solid. While the car's up in the lift, I figured we'll get this one first. The other one's way up here, and on the other side you can't see, we can get from above. So I want to get this one done, and then we can put the car down. Any of you that do work on airplanes, you'll understand the access isn't always great. I mean, this is really good access compared to in the airplane, but everything's still just awkward. Awkward to get at. How tight is that? Not at all. Okay, one thing you'll notice is coming out with it is a sleeve. There's also a little washer right there. We want to keep those together. Oh, it's numbered, cool. So there's a safety wire or a wire that goes through up in here that holds, there's kind of a lip. I don't know if you can see right there with my thumb. That wire holds that from coming down. So I got a little piece of wire, we'll try and we'll put that back up. Why did I start this without a flashlight up here? Stand by. Wow, that's so much better on camera anyways. Sorry about that. Trials and tribulations of new YouTubing. Somewhere, oh, right there. You can see that wire coming through. So that's going to come through and go into there. And that's just going to support our sleeve, which means there's a pin at the back. That goes to the back. That goes right there. Where'd that hole go? Can't find. This is not also a proper safety wire, but you can see the purpose that goes in. It keeps it up. It's not going to fall. Just for our purpose, we can tie this up. We'll do that on the other two that are on the lower half, so they don't come out. I'm not going to do it on the upper ones because they sit in there. This is not going back in an airplane. Don't worry. We are not safety wiring stuff back together. Mostly because I mess it up so much, it's going to come out right away anyways, so what's the point? And I know I'm not going to have my cut and then fold over, so I am going to slice myself again. You know what, now that I said that, I don't know, these obviously aren't the right tools, but you know what? Good. You have no idea how excited I am about trying this. So I also have a backup plan should this fail to light again. I'll show you. Will I show you now? Okay, so figure what I'm doing here. This on my right hand came with the atomizers, and this copper one I put on here is from my set. Exact same, the thickness isn't the same, but it's exact same OD, so it'll work on our banjo fitting. There. So what you want to do, all right, she's threaded. So I'm going to start the threads, get them snug, both ends. And then I'm going to get this snug, tighten these, then crank on this. I call that good. We'll stop here, reposition up top, pull the car down, and we'll do the others. Okay, here's the here's the igniter, here's the atomizer, the special one. Okay, we have spacers. So there's a specific measurement that the gap needs to be from the face of the atomizing nozzle here to the outer jacket here. So basically this right here, I want to say it's metric. I want to say it's like 0.5 or 0.6 millimeter with a 0.5 millimeter. That's not right. All right, now that I've got my measurements correct, the distance between the face of this atomizer to the interior lip is a 0.5 millimeter with a tolerance of 0.1 millimeter. And apparently that is enough to make a difference between starting and not starting. We've got some spacers here, some washers. Maybe they're sealing washers. You know what? These are probably sealing washers. And then here we have, these are spacers. These are what you adjust in order to get the proper clearance up here. So I'm gonna put the new one in, we'll measure it and see where we're at. I have 0 of these extra. The only thing I can do is take them from somewhere else. Group B, this one and the one on the other side beside the other igniter are the most critical. They'll light first and then they'll propagate around the annular combustor to start the rest of them. Once that happens, it gives enough energy for the turbine at the back here to spin quicker, helping the starter, which creates more pressure in the fuel system. And as that pressure increases, it opens a secondary valve down below to start the main fuel manifold for these guys, which are a vaporizer type of nozzle. And that's the main fuel, and that's what sustains the engine. And 17 seconds after start, these starting atomizers come off. So anyways, I'm gonna swap this out with the new one, Group B, measure it, see where we're at. Okay, unfortunately, we're only about halfway there to within spec. 0.2 millimeters out of spec. But keep in mind, this thing ran just fine the way it was. So I'm not, I gotta set this in the right way. I'm not overly concerned with the depth, like huge. I know that specs are there for a reason, and this could entirely be my starting issue. But I mean, it ran before, and I don't have any other spacers, so if that does become the actual issue, then we'll cross that bridge and I'll get some made or get some ordered in. But there's got to be a way around this. Okay, well, atomizers are in. Car is off the lift. So I'm going to back it up to the door, and then hopefully the weather is good tomorrow and we can see if this has solved our starting issue. I can't cross it. Fingers crossed. Okay, well, at this stage of the game, I think we all know why we're here. Oh yeah, they dropped in jet fuel. Lovely. have it. Pressure was getting low, so I wonder if we were running out of fuel. Check that rate. Well, it was successful, finally. I think it was a combination of the atomizers, because once that lit off, it lit off really well. And then higher applied pressure to start with, slightly. And then there's the fuel valve, we'll call it a selector, but it's pressure derived or pressure induced. So once the system is making so much pressure, then it'll switch to the secondary fuel with a spring. I ended up tapping it, you know, like you do a starter. If it's not working, just give it a little tap tap. So I did that, and it lit off. Once it got past 2,500, 3,000 RPM, we knew we were golden. It just kept going. So that's good. I think it was a good test, a good run. I'm happy to finally prove that it's working again. I'm gonna have to look back in some video on the idle is about 1,000 RPM high, and I want to dial that back. And I don't know why it's so high. So I'll have to play with that a little bit. But yeah, all in all, great success finally. And until next time. Hold on just a minute. You didn't think we were just gonna end the video without doing what we originally set out to do you? If you remember a month and a half ago, we were trying to obliterate a snow pile. Well, it's still there. It's actually a little bit, we've had some melt, rain, and what have you. It's still there, but here's what we're working with. A little bit of a different setup. Snowbank is a lot bigger. Let's see if we can blow it past our wall and into the field. I need more space to park. So, what better than jet power? So you can see the pile isn't necessarily that much taller, but it's significantly wider. So we're on a bit of an angle here, chained up to our post in the ground over here. Most of the forward force will be, you know, going off that post, I hope. Chance of the car to swing this way if the chain tightens up. So we've got it attached to our 7-ton trailer. Obviously doesn't weigh 7 tons, but it should be enough to keep it this way. Tractor's in front of it, as we saw when we walked up. So let's turn everything on and see what happens. Let's see if we have actually solved it. It has been a couple days since we, about a week or so since we started it, finally. So I've replicated all the setup. And yeah, if it might not light the first time, which I'm okay with, but if it lights at all, I'll be happy. So let's go. Okay, fuel's on. Fuel. Did light. Come on. Nope. Oh, we're so close. Well, that was quite the sustained run. I wonder if we're out of fuel. Oops. I did bring it back from 100% just a little bit, so hopefully. Yeah, there's a lot of air coming out. Let me check that. Yeah, come with me for a trip here. Oh yeah. That's the bottom of the tank. We burned through a full tank. Those turbine blades look wonderful. Now, interestingly, our pile's still there, albeit a little bit smaller, with a lot of water. This has been sitting for a while. Ooh, look at all the rocks in there. That's probably from me plowing, actually. But, oh, look at this. I mean, to put some out in the field, my goal was to get the rest of it out in the field. Well, actually, you can see on the angle here that the jet's actually pointed slightly upward, which isn't helpful. So, hey, we melted a whole bunch. Now just in time for it to freeze again, so it's now a big ice hole. We have debris all the way up over there. Side of the sea can. This is what a jet's for, isn't it? I just noticed this. Probably can't see it from that angle. That wasn't there before. Usually when this thing powers up, the jet, it forces the nose down of a car just because of the way the suspension is. And it did push into here. So the tractor did its job. I mean, obviously we were chained as well, but the tractor did what it was supposed to do. And I don't know if you can see, yeah, you can kind of see all that smoke. I'm pretty sure that's coming from the starter. So we'll have to, I don't know, figure something out. It works, but it's the starter generator as well. So I don't know if it's the generator portion of it that's not happy or what, but yeah, that's a lot of smoke coming out. So let's disconnect everything and put it away. Okay, we are on this incredibly foggy day. It's January in Ontario, so it's to be expected. It's about 32, 33 Fahrenheit, so right around the freezing mark here. But I'll take it. It's supposed to be like this all week. It's supposed to have rain, overcast, fog, snow, whatever. So I wanted to get this in when we could. And I was dicking around at the beginning. Obviously this thing's not running at its optimal, for the airplane, but it's great for what we're doing. I mean, I think we were putting, upwards a little over 2,000 pounds of thrust out of this thing, and it still wasn't enough to get rid of some of this. We did. It'll be interesting to see in the video where it started at. I can't remember, but anyways, now until next time. Thanks for watching.